Okay, so this is a do not buy for Sonic Frontiers, and just before we get into this one, I have to state, and I've got to do this in all my do not buys, because so many people get this wrong. This is not a review. I haven't played anywhere near enough of the game to actually review it. This is based on how I feel within the first couple of hours. I played a little over an hour with Sonic Frontiers. I think it was about an hour and 12, hour and 13 minutes. And before anyone jumps in and says, how can you judge a game on that short amount of gameplay? People make up opinions and decide whether they want to buy a game or not based on a 90-second cinematic trailer. So over an hour or even a little under an hour of gameplay for a game can help you decide whether the game is worth it or not. But not only that, we do have some positives to come to Sonic Frontiers. This is not just all negative. And this is really me saying don't buy it for the retail price. Don't pay £50 for this game. Get this game as cheap as you possibly can, because the only reason it's so expensive and the reason they're charging £50 is because it has the Sega branding. All because it's Sega, because it's Sonic the Hedgehog. That's the only reason they are getting away with charging £50 for it. But we're going to start off with a positive. When you start the game, the music is decent. The very beginning area is what's called cyberspace. It's vibrant, it's done well, the gameplay in cyberspace is really cool, and it all looks good. Then you're introduced straight after that to what's essentially the overworld, and it's dark, doom and gloom, it's dull, and it's boring. If they created a game purely based on the cyberspace, I think it would be an amazing game. But it's not. It's an open world. They should have marketed the game as an open, empty world. But not only that, you jump into the game, you get a map, you press back on your controller, select or whatever button you want to call it, and this map looks like it was made by a 5-year-old in Microsoft Paint. There's barely any detail to it. The way you unlock parts of the map is childish. And yes, Sonic's not necessarily a game for adults, but they could have done a little bit more with it. Not only that, but you jump into this game and whether you're in combat with enemies, whether you're just roaming the free open world and basically grinding rails or whatever, the camera angle is horrible, and that's at the best of times. But not only that, the combat in the game, it mainly consists of just spamming X or square if you're on a PlayStation controller, over and over and over and over again. Honestly, after the roughly hour and 10 minutes I played of the game, after that amount of time, I wanted to scratch my own eyeballs out with a piece of fucking sandpaper. I got so bored of playing this game, I will not return to this game unless for some reason this video picks up 100 million views, which is never going to happen, so I'm not returning to this one. And the main reason I do these videos and put them out and I come across as negative is because I want what's best. I want these games to thrive. I want player bases for these games. I want them to be good, fun experiences. And for the most part, Sonic Frontiers is not that. After a little while, it chucked me back into the cyberspace. And again, it changes up the area. It's nice and vibrant. It's actually really enjoyable to be in the cyberspace. However, the second time round, the music was a little bit hit and miss. But as I said, the gameplay is really good. It stays vibrant the whole way through, or at least what I played. And another positive for the game is in the hour I played, I didn't come across any major bugs. I don't even think I've really come across minor bugs. It was maybe one or two here and there. So that's another plus for the game. One more thing I really like about the cyberspace, and it's a big talking point in this video. I've mentioned it a few times already. We're only a few minutes in. But one thing I really like about the cyberspace is that they also change perspective. It goes basically side-scrolling, so essentially like a 2D side-scroller. But then you get the cyberspace areas where you're 3D running forwards. So it's nice to have that variety in the cyberspace areas. The only problem I see with the cyberspace is the fact that you're barely ever in there, unless you're just sat in there trying again and again and again to get yourself an S rank, because the cyberspace areas are based on a grade or a rank where you get S, A, B, C, so on and so forth. And the other downside to it is that you're not in there for long at all. They typically last around a minute each one. I wish they was a little bit longer, because they are, in my opinion, from what I played, the best parts of the game. Another positive, so there are quite a few in this video, it's not all just bashing the game. They have these thick silver grinding rails, if you want to call them that. They're basically they feel like a fast travel, And that system is actually quite nice. You can get from area to area really quick without having to slog through the open, empty world. And one little problem I did come across, I don't know if it was just the way I was playing it or if it is a little bug, but the speed boosters, so like the basically platforms that have arrows on them, you run into them and they make you speed up. When I come off those and I hit, say I got enough distance to pick up 5 or 6 rings, they would often just stop me in my tracks. And that was after I got the boost, instead of being able to carry on running forward. It felt a little bit, I don't even know how to describe it. I jump on a booster, get that speed boost, hit 5 rings, and then just stop. Whereas I think it would have been better if you would carry on after that. And it didn't matter if I was boosting myself or if I let go of everything on the controller. No matter what I did, a lot of these speed boosters did just stop me. But the thing is, because I've seen that this game on Steam, like the last time I had a look, it had a 92% positive rating. And that's from over 1,300 reviews. And the reason I think that's the case, is especially with this, because there are lots of problems in this game, and that's just basing it on the first hour, is I think people have such low standards when it comes to games, but not only games in general. When it comes to Sonic games, especially the 3D ones, I think people have really, really low standards. So anything comes out and it's even mediocre, is going to get praise after praise. I've seen so many positive reviews on YouTube, even Twitter, people are praising the game and stuff, and it's not that good. People are out there giving it 8s and 9s and stuff. No fucking way is it worthy of a score that high. And people are also saying it's the best Sonic game that Sega and Sonic Team have made in the last 10 years. And with people saying that, then maybe there'll actually be a decent one in 10 years from now. If it's going to take them a decade to make any sort of progress with the franchise, maybe we'll see a decent game in 10 years. If you take away from it being a Sonic game, if you take away from it being a Sega game, this is not a good game. Like, in general, just speaking of gaming, you are not going to have too much fun with this game whatsoever. It is not going to last long until you are incredibly bored. The open world is just so bland. Everything besides cyberspace is all doom and gloom and dark, and it's horrible. And not only that, you go into an area, you see these massive, like, boss-type enemies. There might be mini-bosses or something like that. And it's like, oh, cool. There's this massive, like, Titan enemy that can slam its arms down on the ground, and I have to run up the side of it, jump on top, and attack these, like, basically antennas or whatever they are on the top of it. And I have to do that 3 times with it progressively getting harder, and then that's the enemy defeated. You take it down and then you go to the next little area and fuck me, the same enemy's there again. It's like, oh, do I really have to go through this again and again and again? But not only that, when it comes to the PC version, I don't know about console at all. When it comes to the PC version, you are locked to 60 FPS or 30. You cannot go any higher. There's no unlimited frame rate or anything like that whatsoever. You are capped to 60 FPS on this title, unless you mod it or like just find a way through the community to make the game run at a higher frame rate. And there are people also saying that mods are going to save the game, because when you look at some of the level design, there's just rails and platforms just floating in the air doing nothing. People are going around saying that mods are going to save it. But if you go to the console version of the game, you can't mod it like you can on PC. So there is no savior for the console version of the game. And I doubt there's going to be a huge community for this game anyway. And then one of my biggest downfalls for this title is the pop-in. And that's like one of the bigger reasons I'm saying not to buy this game. For a £50 title, the amount of pop-in and the distance stuff pops in at is fucking disgusting. From the moment you load into the main portion of the game, it's just pop-in after pop-in. It's horrible to experience it and just see it. Every like 10-15 seconds you're running, you look up in the sky, you're gonna see something pop into the game world. I think it's actually the worst pop-in I've ever seen. And if this game didn't have the Sega branding, then I think this would be called Blue Speed Mouse, and it'd be sold on Steam for £1.99. That's what I honestly think of this game. It's not worth its £50 price whatsoever. I'm just lucky that I bought it through Steam so I can pick up a refund. I mean, if you're like really on the fence about it and you have the ability to play on PC, then even I, like, with me having an affiliate link, I'd still ignore CD keys, go directly on Steam, purchase it, so that you have that 2-hour window to get yourself a refund. Or if you are on console, I really hope there are places you can rent the game from, because once you try it and you've sunk a few hours in, you're going to want to send that game back. You're not going to want to keep the game whatsoever. Because in my opinion, this game might please you, you might have fun, if you are either 12 years old, you are a huge Sonic fan, or if you are very easily pleased. But other than that, especially for 50 quid, I would stay well away from it. Maybe grab it for like actually owning the game and keeping it when it goes on sale, which I can't actually see it being a long time until it is on sale. I don't think this is going to be a game that sells a couple of million copies and does really well and all that sort of stuff. I mean, I could be wrong, but based on the time I've played, I did say towards the start of the video, I felt like scratching my own eyeballs out with a piece of sandpaper. I got that bored after the hour of playing. There are some games out there, like Saints Row. That game was diabolical, yet I still managed to sink hours into it without getting bored. This game just had me bored from the get-go, besides the cyberspace, and I'm gonna keep saying it. I don't want to keep repeating myself, but what I said about the open world, what I've said about the combat, and just the setting, like the atmosphere of the game, it does not make for a good title. There are so many rails and platforms that are just floating, doing absolutely nothing. But at the same time, there are a few features, like if they would have put more time into the game, I reckon if it had another year before it released, it would have been a really good game. And it would have been one that I would recommend for people to buy at its full price. But it seems as though they created this world, they used their development tools or whatever, they created an open world, and they didn't have a clue what to put in it. So they thought, fuck it, rails, platforms, the puzzles to unlock part of the map. I don't even know what to say besides, if you're anything older than 4 years old, you're going to be able to complete those puzzles. They are the most childish, easiest puzzles I have ever done in a game. And I've played some easy, basic video games. Sonic Frontiers does not have a challenge whatsoever. So it would be nice to see updates, change some things around. I would like to say have a complete overhaul for the title in the next year. I can't see it happening whatsoever because there are so many people leaving positive reviews saying it's a fantastic game and everything like that. And then again, as I said, maybe in another 10 years, possibly even 20, we might have a decent, like, a Sonic game that's actually worth talking about in more than one video. But that's it for me and Sonic Frontiers. It was a very short journey. I am so glad it's over already. I did not have fun with this game. It was okay for the first 5 or 10 minutes, but you very quickly get bored. And check out this video if you want to see other content on the channel. That is going to do it for this one. I'll see you in the next video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.